Welcome to Falcon Update here on YBTV. I'm James Hellman.
And I'm Sarah Marshall. Next Monday, March 4th, is Messiah University's Student Government Association Student Body President Debate. You can watch the debate in person at the Union or right here live on YBTV at 7 p.m. Reporter Emma Dingus joins us live in the Union now to talk to us more about what we can expect from the debate. Emma?
Thanks, guys. I'm Emma Dingus, YBTV here, live right here in the Student Union. Next week, the Student Government Association will be hosting their presidential debate live here in the Union. Instead of YBTV producing our regular show, we will be here providing live coverage of the event. Our very own Rosie Schiano will be mediating the conversation between Sam Ramos and Gabby Kovalchik about their values and plans for the future at Messiah. Make sure to tune in next week, March 4th at 7 p.m. Sending it back to the desk.
On Friday night, the Sign Language Club hosted their American Sign Language Beginners Dinner.
Oh, yeah?
Students with different levels of ASL experience came together for an hour to eat dinner and participate communicating in sign language. Beginners write notes, read facial expressions, and learn the ASL basics. Whatever their method, no verbal communication was allowed. If you are interested in learning sign language, you can follow Sign Language Club on Instagram at MU Sign Language Club for more.
As a part of Messiah's Humanities Symposium last week, author and speaker Gene McGuire visited campus to speak about his time in jail. Jessica Fannin reports.
Yale University hosted Gene McGuire, who at the age of 17 was wrongly sentenced to life in prison without parole for charges of second-degree murder. While in jail, he met Christ, and 35 years later, he was a free man. We are here to learn more about McGuire's story and his time in prison.
So 20 minutes at this local tavern in Lake Winola, my cousin turns to me and says, I'm going to rob the bar. I knew I wouldn't have done that. I knew that wasn't something I was planning. I was thinking in my mind that he was coming out with some money, and he never came out right away. We walked up to the bar, and he had killed the owner. He had no right to take a life, and I had no right to be participating in a robbery. It was wrong. A day and a half later, I turned myself in, and I was taken to the state correctional institution at Camp Hill.
While in prison, McGuire got into selling and doing drugs. But after 3 years, he was invited to a program called Prison Invasion 89.
After hearing the gospel for 3 days, I realized I was a sinner and I needed a Savior. And that was like unbelievable. I knew I was forgiven. Man, even today, it seems so fresh.
After making friends with speaker Larry Titus, McGuire was introduced to Rob Meyer, who discipled him for 25 years almost every week.
It was never laborious. I'm thinking, if he can do it and if he can be positive, how can I not be doing the same thing?
And there was some dark nights when I laid in bed and I turned my face to the wall and said, God, I can't do it all day. Whew. Can't do it, and just with tears and prayer, I fell asleep and woke up in the morning and it was a new day. And I just, rushed back to the Lord.
But after 32 years, he got a letter about a new 2010 Supreme Court ruling from Graham versus Florida that stated a juvenile who did not kill, did not intend to kill, and did not know should not be subjected to a life sentence without parole. McGuire was granted the right to have his case retried.
And he says the defendant, Gene McGuire, having served the 34 years, 9 months, 15 days, has served his maximum sentence and is released effective this date. I was crying and tears and it was all on the table. I remember thank you, Judge, thank you, Judge, thank you, Judge. And I realized as long as I held on to the word, I knew what to do.
Since his release, McGuire has written 2 books and has been traveling to schools and prisons to share his testimony. For YBTV, I'm Jessica Fannin.
SAB partnered with the Center for Public Humanities to create an interactive display to show the history of Harrisburg's involvement in the civil rights movement. Maps and infographics were hung around Boyer Atrium to display the significant people and events that contributed to the civil rights movement in the Harrisburg area. Post-it notes were available for those who wished to share their ideas or questions about the information given. All of the research on display has been accumulated over the past 10 years by Messiah students that have worked with the Career for Public Humanities.
I think it's really important because if we are going to change the deeply intense segregation that we live with, and the racism that we are still plagued by, then we're going to have to really think about how we can undo this. And so I hope it stimulates that kind of conversation.
You can visit and interact with this display through the end of the month, so make sure to stop by and see it for yourself.
Hey Driver, I Remember Everything, and Tourniquet are just a few songs appreciated by Zach Bryan fans that attended the album listening party SAB held for his new album titled Zach Bryan. Fans of the Red Dirt country singer could hardly hold their horses flooding the room as they discussed the album over donuts and coffee. Attendees could also take the opportunity to spruce up their cowboy hats with decorative gems and string.
I chose Zach Bryan because there's a large population of students that really like Zach Bryan, and I just wanted to throw an event that I knew the students would love. I hope that students just feel heard and that they know that we try our best to cater towards their interests.
The room was hootin' and hollering with a mix of classic folk melodies and outlaw country that pulled on Zach Bryan's small town roots. This event gave students the opportunity to connect with others who may have had similar music tastes. The event concluded with guests sharing their country masterpieces and taking pictures.
On Wednesday, the African Student Union held a celebration of the various languages spoken in Africa. Swahili Pidgin and Portuguese were among some of the languages taught and learned and spoken by members of the ASU cabinet. Students shared about the languages native to them and expressed why preserving native African languages is so important. After the educational lectures, attendees got the chance to try and speak these other languages while being critiqued by a native speaker.
On languages in the African continent, and I feel like it was named that way because there's like African languages and there's languages that are spoken there, which ranges from like Portuguese to like Spanish, like languages that are not necessarily African but like is spoken on the continent. So it was just a celebration of different African languages represented on the cabinet.
Practicing these different languages gave opportunity for some laughs, but more importantly, students were able to feel connected to a culture and people they may not otherwise interact with. This event highlighted Messiah's diversity and many languages its students speak. If you miss this cool opportunity, don't worry. ASU has their Afro-Caribbean dance in collaboration with CSA later on this month.
On Saturday night, the Messiah University Department of Theater and Dance put on the 2024 Humanities Symposium Dance Concert in the Poor Man Black Box Theater. Titled Many Parts, One Body, the dance concert was an exploration of the American project and showcased different ways of expressing views on America through various dances.
Dancing gets to the heart of our emotions and our ideas, whether we realize it or not. Body language tells us all the time what we're thinking, and whether explicitly or implicitly we understand what's going on with someone a lot of times by their body language to match with the words that they're saying. So we just tap into that.
Information about future performances from the Department of Theater and Dance, you can follow them on Instagram at Messiah University Theater and Dance.
This past Sunday, Messiah's music department held its annual Keith Lance Column competition. Caitlin Mitchum reports.
The final of the Keith Lance Column Performance Award concert was hosted on February 25th by Damian Severino.
Well, these are some of our better performers in our department, and they go through a process of submitting videos, which is the first round, and then if they advance to this round, to the concert, then they perform for a live audience as well as 3 outside judges, and those judges will pick a winner, and that person will be declared the winner of the Keith Lance Coleman Performance Award, and they also receive a cash prize. So if everything goes well, we'll have 9 wonderful performances and 1 winner.
The students varied from piano soloists to sopranos to marimbas. Many performances included the accompaniment of another pianist or drummer, all composed with great emotion after every note that was deliberated.
I think that even the performers that didn't advance to this round, they gain an opportunity, first and foremost, just to compete and go through the process. And as a student, that's a wonderful experience to partake in. It's representative of the real world and the kinds of things that they will do once they leave Messiah and potentially compete in a competition in the real world, in the professional world. So first and foremost, it's an opportunity just to experience the process. And secondly, it's just an opportunity for them to perform and give something to the audience and sort of see what happens. They've been working hard on these pieces for probably a number of semesters, a lot of them. And so it's a culminating event. And so it's an opportunity for them to just put their best foot forward.
The judges indubitably chose Yamiliet Tirito, a Marambus, as the winner of the 2024 Calm Cash Prize. 2 honorable mentions were chosen this year, including the other marimbist Lisbeth Steffen and solo pianist Abigail Stewart. From YBTV, this is Caitlin Mitchum.
Last week, the Caribbean Student Association hosted their Share the Love event in a late celebration of Valentine's Day. The event was designed as an inclusive celebration of the culture of the Caribbean islands. Attendees had the opportunity to share their cultures with one another through listening to music, eating delicious food, playing games, and enjoying one another's company.
I hope that when people come to share the love, that they'll learn a little bit more about the Caribbean and that they'll be able to create new friends, meet new people instead of just hanging around with the same people that they normally know, and have fun with each other.
It is one of CSA's many events they host throughout the year. You can find CSA on Instagram at messiah.csa to stay up to date on all of their upcoming events.
We'll be right back with Falcon on the Street, Campus Calendar, and the story of the Messiah Brethren that fought a lion. Stay tuned.
When I visited Messiah, I loved the community here, and it made me feel really welcome, and the applied health science major was the perfect fit for what I wanted to study.
We're training students at Messiah to be leaders in the allied health professions. They're going to make an incredible impact on the health of others all over the world. Our students can choose concentrations in pre-professional, pre-physical and occupational therapy, pre-athletic training, and in exercise science.
I did an internship where I was able to shadow some strength and conditioning sessions with our men's soccer team, and that was really a meaningful experience for me to apply what I know.
All of the professors I had were really focused on integrating Christ into what we did in the classroom and reminded us of the way that God created us and how we can see that in other people as we go on from here.
And then we also teach them ways to interact with their future clients, patients, athletes in ways that not only are focused on writing effective prescription or rehabilitation, but really seek to support people in their journey, mind, body, and spirit.
In my senior seminar class, we have had the opportunity to work with a client as a conditioning consultant, and I've found this experience really valuable because I've been able to put into practice what I've learned into class into a practical situation.
Our students have a real advantage. In many cases, they've had additional training above and beyond what's necessary to gain entry into graduate programs.
So I'm really grateful for the opportunity that this program has offered me.
Hello, and welcome back to Falcon Update here on YBTV. I'm James Hellman.
And I'm Sarah Marshall. It was a chilly weekend, but it looks like Punxsutawney Phil's forecast of an early spring is finally coming to fruition. Ethan Gregory has this week's Falcon forecast. Ethan?
Thanks, James and Sarah. I'm Ethan Gregory, and we'll take a look at this week's Falcon forecast. First, right now, we're currently sitting at a temperature of 47 degrees, and we'll continue to decline later into the evening, where around 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. we'll hit lows of 39. On to the next. Tomorrow, we'll start at 6 a.m. around 40 degrees, and we'll continue to rise up until 1 p.m. We'll hit 60 degrees. It'll be a cloudy day, but we'll have a 30% chance of rain at 1, so make sure you bring your umbrellas. And then we'll take a look here at this surface map, and we can see a little bit of what's going on. In West Virginia, we'll have a little bit of that rain that comes up, and then some heat coming down, as well as some cold air pushing out to the northeast of the United States. Now onto the dew points here. We'll be a little bit wet this week as the rain on Tuesday, a 30% chance, and then a 60% chance on Wednesday will cause the air to be a little bit more wet and moist. And then finally, let's take a look at this week's 7-day forecast. On Tuesday, it's going to be a great day other than the rain around 1 p.m. with 60 degrees. On Wednesday, we'll up 60 and we'll go to 63 degrees, but we'll have a 60% chance of rain. On Thursday, we'll have around 42, so it'll be the coldest day of the week, but other than that, the rest of the week looks smooth sailing. As you can see, Friday we're at 51 degrees, Saturday at 53, Sunday at 60, Monday at 61. You know, one of the things that I like to do when it's nice and warm is go play golf, so I might do that. And that's it for Falcon Forecast. I'll send it right back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Ethan. Sarah, where do you see yourself in 15 years?
Well, that's quite a big question, James. Hopefully settled and with a steady job. I just actually met my friend's golden retriever, puppy dog, a couple weeks ago, and I'm convinced that I want a dog. I've never had a dog before, so hopefully in 15 years I'll have a dog. How about you?
Yeah, you know, hopefully maybe doing something like we're doing now, but on a more professional stage, thinking something in sports media. That seems like the right path for me. And Danielle Leppert asked students where they see themselves in 15 years on this week's Falcon on the Street.
Good evening and welcome back to this week's edition of Falcon on the Street. Today we're going to see what future Falcons think they'll be doing in 15 years.
Great. I want to be a wife, a mom, and a teacher in about 15 years.
So one thing that I see myself doing in 15 years is just building a life for myself, you know, buying a house, you know, getting the mortgage paid and just building a family and getting settled down around here.
Hopefully I will be employed or possibly married and just doing something productive with my life.
Working with youth ministries in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I'm a nursing major, so hopefully I'll be working with kids in the hospital. Yeah.
In 15 years, I see myself probably filming something pretty cool, or I don't know, maybe working at a TV station. We'll see.
Hopefully with kids and working for the government doing ethical hacking.
I think I would just be traveling the world, hopefully. That's one of my main goals.
I have no idea.
Hopefully not still living with my parents. Other than that, I don't really have a clear answer. Maybe I'm YouTube famous, who knows?
Well, for me personally, in 15 years, I see myself being a wife and a mom and having a house with a garden and some dogs. That's all for YBTV Falcon on the Street. I'm Danielle Leppert.
Thanks, Danielle. Spring break is coming up, but campus is still bustling with activity. Here's Garrett Fannin with this week's campus calendar. Garrett?
Good evening, Messiah University. My name is Garrett Fannin, and I am bringing you this week's campus calendar. Here's what's popping around campus. Tuesday. On Tuesday, Minds Matter will host an info dump PowerPoint night. Students can create and share presentations on anything, including special interests, fixations, passions, and comfortable media. To register, follow the link in this week at Messiah email. On Wednesday, Student Employment will host a summer job fair. Job openings on campus include admissions, tour guides, conference assistants, campus and building services workers, dining workers, and more. Attendees will have the first opportunity to apply for summer positions. On Thursday, the Department of Theater opens their latest musical, The Spitfire Grill. The Spitfire Grill follows Paralee Percy Talbot as she journeys to a small town in Wisconsin. In this heartwarming and inspirational musical tale of redemption, perseverance, and family, you can catch the Spitfire Grill every weekend through March 7th. Tickets are buy one, get one free for opening night. That's all for this week's edition of Campus Calendar. I hope to see you all at some of these events later on this week. For YBTV, I'm Garrett Fannin.
Charlie Jones is back with a story that has to be seen to be believed on this week's Vault.
Thanks, Sarah. Good evening and welcome back to The Vault, where I unlock Messiah's history one week at a time. I'm your host, Charlie Jones, and tonight I'm here to tell you the story of Reverend Myron Taylor. Starting in 1907, Myron worked as a missionary for the Brethren in Christ organization in Macha. While there, Myron met a fellow missionary named Ada Engel, whom he married in 1909. They had 2 daughters together, named Ruth and Anna. In 1916, the Taylors began a new mission in the Sinkalongo region to continue providing aid to the many villages they had yet to reach. Eventually, Myron received word about a serious drought in the nearby Zambezi Valley. He wanted to go and help the people there, but he couldn't abandon his family and their mission. In 1930, Cecil Cullen was sent to the Sincalongo to replace Myron as the mission director, finally allowing him to go to the valley. So, in the summer of 1931, Myron set off for the Zambezi Valley and established a relief camp for people who were affected by the drought. In September, Taylor received word about an injured lion that was harassing a nearby village. Being an accomplished hunter, he gathered a group together to track down the lion, armed with a borrowed rifle. Unfortunately, when he found the beast, the gun jammed after his second shot. Using the rifle as a club, Myron was able to buy time for his companions to escape, but was mauled terribly in the process. A group of 16 locals carried Myron all night to a doctor 30 miles away. Ada was brought to him, and he tragically passed the next morning in his wife's arms. To honor the Reverend for all of his work, the locals renamed a nearby stream from Kolongo Kabasunga, or River of the Spirits, to Kolongo Ka Mufundisi, meaning River of the Reverend. Taylor's legacy lives on through his mission, which you can read all about in the Murray Library archives, and check out the stock of Myron's rifle, which still bears the lion's bite marks. That's all from me from this week, but make sure to tune in next time when I unlock the vault.
Thanks, Charlie. Remind me not to visit the Zambezi Valley.
Yeah, you can say that again, Sarah. And after the break, Nathan Harlacker and Cameron Fisher will have your YBTV Sports, including an exclusive look at Messiah Track and Field's MAC Championship appearance. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, my name is Sam Ramos, and I'm a junior accounting major, and I'm running for student body president.
Hi, my name is Gabby Kowalczyk. I'm a junior politics and international relations major, and I'm running for student body vice president.
Gabby and I are interested in running for these positions because both of us share a passion for amplifying the voices of the students on campus and making sure that they're part of the really big decisions that are happening at the institutional level. We believe that it's important that students be a part of these decisions, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that those decisions really affect.
3 key components that we're looking at are to amplify the student body, serve the student body, and collaborate amongst clubs and organizations. So next Monday in the Union from 7 to 9, there will be a debate night where you can hear more about our platform. We will probably be there early at 5, so feel free to talk to us beforehand. YBTV will be covering debate night, and you can watch it or be there in person.
Being able to talk about faith and Christianity and what that means is important to me, because working in a secular environment, a lot of times questions of ethics and morality come into play. And I think having a faith-based education really equips people and our students to be able to go out into the workforce and be able to serve their communities ethically and morally and be confident about who they are in their Christianity.
Messiah definitely gave me an idea of what my future could look like. It gave me a vision for all the possibilities that existed for my life through the example of alumni, other students that were just a little bit ahead of me in coursework, the professors that came before me and maybe have graduated from Messiah. There's just such a community that existed and a model of success that was proven time and time again through Messiah. And so that was kind of one of the reasons why I chose to come here and why I continue to love it.
Absolutely filthy cold air. Boom goes the dynamite.
Welcome to YBTV Sports. I'm Nathan Harlacker.
And I'm Cameron Fisher. It was a busy week in Messiah Sports with our winter sports wrapping up and the spring sports slowly blooming into action.
While the rest of campus hasn't sprung ahead yet, it looks like we have, and it's time to look at this week's Falcon 4.
We head inside Hitchcock Arena where the number 4 seeded Golden Wolves took on your number 1 ranked Messiah Falcons on a special night for senior guard Reese Harden. Here we see Hardin passing it over to Milanese. Hardin getting the ball back. Looks for a passing lane, but just drives in herself. Spin move and up and in for two. We look at it again here as Hardin goes in, drives in right there. Spin move, up and in for two. Hardin would end the night Hardin became the 25th player in program history to hit the 1,000 point mark as she and the Falcons soared their way to the MAC championship on Saturday.
This weekend, the Messiah baseball team went down to Georgia to take on Covenant College in a 3-game series. The Falcons were able to pick up a win in 2 out of the 3 games, outscoring the Scots 33-21. In Game 2, the Falcons tallied 19 runs on 21 hits, capped off by this grand slam from Evan Wagaman. So here in the center field, bases loaded, everyone knows. See the guy on third, he's just walking on home. Wagaman over the center field fence. Falcons would add 4 to their tally, be up 13-5. Here's the pitch. Fastball down the middle, takes it dead center. Pitcher knows all about it. And he just takes a stride off. The Falcons would end up winning that game 19-7, and that grand slam would not stop the scoring for the Falcons as they put up 6 runs more in the 8th and the 9th inning en route to the 19-7 victory. The Falcons then won game 3 in another high-scoring game by a score of 12-8. They will be back in action tomorrow night as they take on Virginia, or as they head to Virginia to take on Eastern Mennonite.
And we stay at the great outdoors in the home opener for the Messiah men's lacrosse team. Pouring it on early, the Falcons would have an offensive explosion with Mike McNelly scoring his 5th goal of the game off of this laser of a shot. Here we see 24 coming in, looking for a passing lane here. Cuts in over to McNelly with a snipe top shelf. We see it again here as McNelly just lasers it home as the Falcons the Messiah wouldn't stop there as they continued the goal parade as the Falcons won it 21-8.
After defeating Alvernia on Wednesday night, the Messiah women's basketball team would advance to the MAC Commonwealth Championship on Saturday afternoon to face off against the pride of Widener University. Reese Harden and Liv Montero were working hard in the paint during the final minutes of the game with this play. So here we see Reese Harden goes up for a shot, gets blocked, stays in the paint, dribbles around, finds Liv Montero. She fakes a shot, driving in on the paint, puts up a layup and in for the and one. Beautifully done from Liv Montero, got the crowd all fired up there. Let's take another look at that one. Reese Harden with a nice find. Montero with a great fake and a nice bank in off the glass there. And the Falcons and the Pride truly battled it out until the end in front of a massive crowd in Hitchcock Arena. Unfortunately for the Falcons, the Pride would catch a stride in the final minute of the game, lifting them to a 68-62 victory over the Falcons to win the MAC Commonwealth Championship.
Fortunately for the Messiah women's basketball team, they found out today that they got a bid for the NCAA tournament, meaning their season isn't done yet. They will face off against Shenandoah in the first round on Friday.
Another team that competed in a MAC championship was Messiah Track and Field. The indoor track and field MAC championships were this past weekend, so we're going to send it to Rosie Schiano, who covered the event at Alvernia University.
Thanks, guys. Currently here outside of Alvernia University for the Indoor Track and Field MAC Conference Championship. Let's see what they have for us. The Messiah men's and women's track and field team traveled to Alvernia University for the 2-day Mid-Atlantic Commonwealth Championship. Last year, the men's team took home the first-place win. With recent graduates and a new team, they're predicted to finish in third.
Yeah, we're just coming in with like an open mind. We're just going to do the best to our abilities, and we're just going to let our races take our course, and however we do is like the best we can do. So that's all we're asking for today.
Even though the Falcons weren't predicted to bring home the win, the Falcons still brought their energy and team spirit.
I think just like there's a bunch of energy in general just with it being like the championship, and I think just like cheering each other on really gives us energy. I know for the DMR that like started off for a lot of people, and just like running around and hearing the whole team cheering was so exciting and really like fueled me for the race.
Yeah, I would kind of say the same thing. I'm already starting to lose my voice for like yelling for other events, but yeah, same thing, cheering it on, keeping the energy up.
The Falcons had many medalists this meet, including Hallie Jeanette, Gavin Dunkerton, Emma Graybell, Clara Benner, Natalie Hamlin, and Arwen Grunwald. Along with podium placements, the Messiah men's track and field team finished in 6th place, while the women's finished in 5th, leaving Alvernia University. For YBTV Sports, I'm Rosie Ciano.
Welcome back. I'm used to being on this portion of the show, but tonight we are mixing things up. And big news for Messiah women's basketball. How do you think they'll do in the NCAA tournament, Nate?
Well, to be honest with you, they had a really good run coming up to this point. 68-62 loss, like I said earlier, on the MAC championship, but they're still dancing. They're still dancing. We're moving on to the NCAA tournament, taking place in Massachusetts, taking on Shenandoah. I think it's going to be a really good matchup. Shenandoah comes in 21-7, I believe. They are also losers in their prospective championship game as well, so should be a good matchup.
Yeah, I agree, Nate. You know, battle of two teams that suffered some heartbreaking losses over the weekend, so hopefully the Falcons will be righting that ship and heading on further into the tournament.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Nate and James, for that season rundown. That is all for Falcon Update. Don't go anywhere. Emma Dingus will be hosting YB Tonight after this.
Good evening and welcome to YB Tonight. I'm your host, Emma Dingus. Don't worry, we have actual guests for tonight, so it'll not be me speaking all night. Coming on the show tonight, we have Willow Rosenpal and Ariane Sollenberger, followed by Franklin Kelly, who's going to be singing and playing guitar to an original song. But before all that, we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to YB Tonight. I'm your host, Emma Dingus, joined here tonight by Emma Dingus. Emma, how are you doing tonight? I am doing really great, Emma. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm doing great, Emma. Thank you so much for asking. It's great to have you on. Now, Emma, for my first question, I wanted to ask you about something that's kind of been eating me up a little bit. It's happened a couple weeks ago. We were out in the back 40, and do you remember we were kind of, you know, like messing around, and we heard that loud crack when it was a deer. It was a deer. You're right. That's exactly what it was. I don't know why I even mentioned that. Maybe you want to talk about something a little bit more like lighthearted, not as serious. Do you remember that one time we were in elementary school and we went on that field trip to the zoo, and we were in that exhibit with all the birds, and the birds were flying around. We had our vanilla ice cream. Yeah, no, we're also not going to talk about that either. I thought it was a funny story. I thought, you know, maybe people would like to hear about it. I mean, let's talk about something else. Kind of cutting down a lot of things we can talk about here. I mean, You got any hobbies? I do actually. Thank you for asking. You know, I love to go running. I love hiking. There's a lot of really good spots around here actually that are really good for students to go to. And thank you. That's all we have time for tonight. I'd like to thank myself for joining myself for this cold open. We'll be right back with more YB Tonight right after this. Good evening and welcome to YB Tonight. I'm your host, Emma Dingus. Don't worry, we have actual guests for tonight, so it will not be me speaking all night. Coming on the show tonight, we have Willow Rosenpal and Ari and Sollenberger, followed by Franklin Kelly, who's going to be singing and playing guitar to an original song. But before all that, we'll be right back after this break.
Hi, my name is Emma Bain, and I'm the assistant head tutor of the Writing Center. As college students, we're always writing, whether it's a lab report, discussion post, or essay. Here at Messiah University, you don't have to go through the writing process alone. The Writing Center is a free service that helps undergraduate students become better writers through peer tutoring. Our tutors are trained peers who work in one-on-one sessions tailored to each student's needs and goals. We're here for any student at any point in the writing process, whether you're a first year working on an FYS paper or a senior touching up a final draft. No matter your skill level, we're here to equip you with the tools you need to grow as a writer. Schedule an appointment on Falcon Link today by searching Learning Center/Writing Center Appointments and clicking New Appointment. For more information, please follow us on Instagram at Messiah Writing Center or email us at writingcenter@messiah.edu. Happy writing!
Welcome back. I'm here with Willow Rosenpal. Willow, how are you doing tonight?
I'm all right, thank you.
Oh, good to hear. So, Willow, you're an RA, and
Yes.
how long have you been an RA for?
I've been an RA since August, so this is my first year.
Okay. And can you talk us through the process? Like, what was it like becoming an RA?
Yeah, the process of being an RA was pretty streamlined. The November of 2022, I went to an info meeting, had a carousel night group interview in February, and then we got our results in March, and I was actually chosen very last minute, so I got confirmation in late July.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And can you talk us, what was it kind of like, you know, preparing for those interviews, but also preparing to be an RA? Like, what was that process for you?
I think for me, it was a lot about just understanding why I wanted to be an RA and trying to understand who I was and what I could bring to the table, because it feels like a very high responsibility job. And so for me, it was about just preparing my heart for it and being willing to take on that responsibility.
Yeah, it is a big role.
Yeah.
Now, what is your major?
I'm a graphic design major.
Graphic design. Okay. Have you noticed there being any overlap between your major that's kind of helped assist you in your RA position?
That's a great question. Graphic design, it's indirectly a communications-based major as much as it is an art major. So I'm able to kind of use it to communicate better with my residents. I'm able to understand people more, which has been really great.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And what would you say is the best part of your job?
I love the community, the RA community. I think there's about 50 or 60 of us here on campus, and it's awesome just being able to be involved in something bigger here on campus.
Oh, yeah. And with that, can you kind of walk us through a daily day in the life of an RA, or kind of your responsibilities that you have?
Yeah, so it varies from day to day. We work about like 12 to 16 hours a week. It's pretty chill. For the most part, we do have meetings once a week, and usually, depending on which building you're in, you'll go on clock or walk in the evening, which is essentially just making your rounds to the building, making sure everything's good, and being in constant communication with your RD and the rest of Res Life, just to make sure things are running smoothly. It's definitely not something I have to be active in every hour of every day, which is really nice.
Yeah. And you talked a little bit about being on walks and different floors and stuff like that. We wanted to know, have you ever had to like write somebody out for anything like that?
I had to once. I won't go into details of it, but only once, which is good.
That's good.
Yeah.
And do you think that your past, whether it be school or past experiences, have kind of prepared you for being an RA? And if so, how so?
That's another really good question. I think
I think so, yeah, especially with my family and how I was raised. I was just raised to confront things and confront people with love and with gentleness and understanding, which I think is really important when we as RAs are encountered with various social situations, especially on our floors, and just going into it with God and with understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about your family experience. I always like to want to know when people, like, their birth order, kind of like where they fall. I feel like it kind of affects their personality.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, first, do you have any siblings? And if so, where do you kind of fall? And do you feel like that position has kind of influenced you as an RA?
Yeah, so I am the oldest of 3. I have 2 younger brothers, 18 and 14. We're all very tight-knit. And so being the oldest and the only girl, I do think that has caused me to adopt a more motherly mentality. And I really do think that applies to being kind of like, I call myself the floor mother of our floor. So, yeah.
And do you think that you will be an RA again?
I have reapplied, so we will see.
There you go. And how can people apply for this job?
Yeah, so applications were due early January, and we're actually having carousel night group interviews tomorrow and the day after. So if anyone is interested, usually events and stuff are on the Messiah website. But you can also just talk with your RD or with Lindsey Graham, who is head of Res Life.
And if you're a returning RA, does the process look a little different, or is it the same process that all of the new incoming RAs also follow?
Yeah, it's a little different. So instead of us having carousel night, we do have group interviews. We come back early from winter break to reapply, and we have a very casual group interview. And we get our results at the same time as oncoming RAs. So it's very similar. Yeah.
Yeah. And Willow, is there anything else that you would like to add about being an RA that you would want people to know, or just share if you'd like?
Yeah, I guess there's one thing. I'd love to remind people that we are people and we are your friends. I know there's a really easy misconception that we as RAs can be very like hoity-toity. I don't know a better word for it. But we're here to just come alongside you, and don't be afraid of us. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this show. It was great to hear a little bit about your job. But don't go anywhere, because Franklin Kelly will be joining us for an interview and performance right after the break.
Hi, my name is Sam Ramos, and I'm a junior accounting major, and I'm running for student body president.
Hi, my name is Gabby Kowalczyk. I'm a junior politics international relations major, and I'm running for student body vice president.
Gabby and I are interested in running for these positions because both of us share a passion for amplifying the voices of the students on campus and making sure that they're part of the really big decisions that are happening at the institutional level. We believe that it's important that students be a part of these decisions, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that those decisions really affect.
3 key components that we're looking at are to amplify the student body, serve the student body, and collaborate amongst clubs and organizations. So next Monday in the Union from 7 to 9, there will be a debate night where you can hear more about our platform. We will probably be there early at 5, so feel free to talk to us beforehand. YBTV will be covering debate night, and you can watch it or be there in person.
The MSAT at Messiah University is a 2-year master degree that's also paired with students that will be completing the 5-year accelerated MSAT, completing their bachelor's and their master's. We have experienced, dedicated, passionate athletic training faculty that are ready to teach the next generation of athletic trainers, to teach our students how to integrate their faith into their role as a healthcare provider. And we have a strong and growing list of clinical experiences that will allow students to experience athletic training in a variety of settings.
welcome back to YB Tonight. I'm here with Franklin Kelly. How are you doing tonight, Franklin?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. So, Franklin, how long have you been playing the guitar for?
I've been playing guitar for 6, 7 years. Yeah, about that long. I taught myself, so it's kind of hard to say exactly how long, but I kind of taught myself on and on for several years.
Oh, impressive. And what kind of got you started with music, singing and playing the guitar?
I don't know. I love music. I grew up watching my dad play guitar for worship for our church. And I kind of just picked up guitar because he did. He would play it all the time, and I just wanted to try it out too.
That's fair. And do you play any other instruments?
Not really. I had to take two summers of piano, but I enjoy guitar the most, and I'm best at guitar. But I do a bit of composition in some of my songs, so I use the piano all the time. I'm just not great at it.
That's okay. And who would you say are some of your musical role models or role models in general?
One of my favorite artists is the tallest man on earth. And he has some of the craziest finger style you've ever seen. Finger style is when you're playing with all of your fingers, using all of your digits. And he's very, very good at that. I tried to pick up learning one of his songs pretty soon after I started playing guitar. I couldn't do it. I went and tried out some other songs. I learned the Paper Kites. I learned a lot of the worship songs that my dad had printed out. I went back to the tallest man on earth. I tried it again, still couldn't get it. And so I kind of just went back and forth until I could finally play the tallest man on earth. He's such a fun artist. I love his music so much. That's kind of what inspired me to play guitar, finger style. What inspired me compositionally with music is probably Patrick Watson. Patrick Watson's, he's a Canadian musician. He sings in French sometimes. Most of the time he sings in English, but his music is beautiful. I love his stuff.
Awesome. And where have you been able to perform at Messiah so far?
I've performed at Coffee House 3 times. And that's pretty much it, actually. Yeah. I play guitar in my room, but that's not really performing. But Coffee House is the only place I've really performed here.
Awesome, awesome. And can you kind of talk us through your songwriting process? What is that like?
That's a good question. I have an idea. I want to write a song about this thing that I'm going through, or this concept that I'm learning. I usually will think of phrases that kind of go along with the concept. Something that sounds poetic. I grab my guitar. I just play around on my guitar till I find something that sounds good. And if it kind of matches up with the phrases that I had before, I can match it up nicely and start coming up with a melody that goes along nicely with the lyrics. The problem is, if you start with lyrics, it's really hard to get a melody that sounds nice with the lyrics. If you start with the melody, a lot of times it's hard to find lyrics that fit it. So I try to let the lyrics and the melody kind of inform each other. And that's why I think of like phrases or ideas first. Then I go to my guitar. Then I try and combine them.
Oh, And how many songs have you written then?
I don't know. I've written a lot of songs. You open up my voice memos app on my phone, you're gonna see so many recordings. I ignore most of them. Most of them are really bad. I'm not great at songwriting, honestly. It's like I work on several different songs for months on end. 6 of them are trash. Then there's one that's good. And it's like, sometimes it feels like you found it. You didn't write it, you found it. Those are the ones that are really good. I've released several songs on all streaming platforms. And that's gotta be 3, 4, 5, 6. It's over 10. I couldn't tell you exactly how many, but most of them, production-wise, aren't very good. I've learned a lot about music production more recently. So, but anyway, back to your original question. I couldn't tell you, but ones that you could easily find, there's about 10 or so, I think.
Okay. And where can people find these songs, like on social media?
You can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, Deezer, which is apparently a music streaming service that I didn't even know existed. Just Franklin Kelly. Yeah.
Awesome.
Franklin Kelly, and then my Instagram is just Franklin Kelly Music.
Awesome, yeah. Is there anything else that you would want to share about your music or upcoming events that you'll be playing at or anything?
Not really. It's just, I write music for myself, ultimately. Sometimes I'll play at an event, but what brings me joy is just playing music. So I don't care if you go back to your dorm and you look up my music or not. I made it, and I'm happy that I made it. I'm happy to play it. I don't really need anything else.
I like that. That's very nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us and answering some questions. You'll be right back after this break to perform.
When I visited Messiah, I loved the community here, and it made me feel really welcome, and the applied health science major was the perfect fit for what I wanted to study.
We're training students at Messiah to be leaders in the allied health professions. They're going to make an incredible impact on the health of others all over the world. Our students can choose concentrations in pre-professional, pre-physical and occupational therapy, pre-athletic training, and in exercise science.
I did an internship where I was able to shadow some strength and conditioning sessions with our men's soccer team, and that was really a meaningful experience for me to apply what I know.
All of the professors I had were really focused on integrating Christ into what we did in the classroom and reminded us of the way that God created us and how we can see that in other people as we go on from here.
And then we also teach them ways to interact with their future clients, patients, athletes in ways that not only are focused on writing effective prescription or rehabilitation, but really seek to support people in their journey, mind, body, and spirit.
In my senior seminar class, we have had the opportunity to work with a client as a conditioning consultant, and I've found this experience really valuable because I've been able to put into practice what I've learned into class into a practical situation.
Our students have a real advantage. In many cases, they've had additional training above and beyond what's necessary to gain entry into graduate programs.
So I'm really grateful for the opportunity that this program has offered me.
welcome back to YB Tonight. Franklin, take it away.
All right. My song, Would You Still Love Me? Which is about that question. Would you still love me if you had heard the things that I've done and the people I've hurt? Would you still love me if I told you all the things I've thought about you? I was meant to fly, I was meant to soar, but my wings got caught in that lure, and I'm falling, falling, I'm falling. Would you still love me if I had said the stuff that goes on inside my head? Would you still love me if I told you all the times that I've lied to you? I look back to the letters we made. I carefully apply a new coat of paint, trying to hide the things that I've done. And when I'm finished, I'm gonna run. 'Cause would you still love me if you had heard the things that I've done and the people I've hurt? Would you still love me if I told you all the things I've thought about you?
That was amazing, and you wrote it, which makes it even more impressive. Well, that concludes this week's YB Tonight. Remember to tune in next week for live coverage of the SGA debate. Have a great week, Messiah.